you guys. This is Rachel Kirkland, the Modern Shaman, and I am here to answer a question that was actually a second part to one that was sent to me just a minute ago. I did a previous video, and so this is a follow-up video on auras. And so the question sent in, she mentioned that she's been seeing auras and she wanted to know how to further develop that and kind of how to get into it. So I decided I would do a second video on it because it's a little separate from her previous question. So let me just enter into that. I will say we talk about auras in my psychic development class. There's just a lot of energy, you guys, that I feel like that I'm constantly plugging my classes, which sounds, it is what it is, but the fact that you asked this question and that we do go over that in the curriculum on the first in the first class, Psychic Development Level 1 or the beginners class, even though it says beginners, it's not like you're a beginner. It's just the first intro course, and it's kind of foundational for everything else. And we talk about auras, and we learn how to read them and kind of how to feel into them, how to read them in not just a traditional sense, but a broader multidimensional sense. So again, if this is something you're into, feel free to sign up for the class, okay? Yeah. And if you do, I don't feel like I need to like push it anymore because I feel like you'll know if that's something that you're supposed to do. Okay, so let me just tune into auras. Okay, so with your question in particular, auras are created by the electromagnetic pulse of the energy body, right? If you've seen my video on chakras, you know about the energy bodies and the meridians within the body. Our heart works like a little energetic organ, okay? And it has an electromagnetic pulse to it. It creates kind of an electromagnetic frequency, and frequencies can be measured in terms of the light spectrum. Okay, they can be measured in a lot of different ways, but they can be measured on the light spectrum, at least with our visual light spectrum. And then, as you know, the color spectrum goes on and on. It's just what our visual eyes can see is only a certain realm of color, right? So within that realm of color, certain people, if this is you, and she mentioned being able to see auras, are able to see kind of colors that are created by those energy frequencies, okay, by that pulse that's going on in the electrical charge of the body. Now, those ebb and flow. There is a core frequency that people tend to stay in, and sometimes that can be read as kind of like your core energy. But if you've ever had those aura photography photos done, if you've ever done it, it looks different every time because basically you're emitting a different pulse all the time. It's kind of like your voice has a similar frequency to it, and people can recognize your voice all the time, but it fluctuates. It goes up and down, and I can be singing and it can sound a little different. The tone and the tonal quality, there may be a base frequency of color to you that's kind of like your base aura in general energetic frequency, and then there can be kind of fluctuations based on where your mind is going, what, you know, if you're stressed out or if you're worried about something, or if you're in a state of, you know, I just got married yesterday and I'm all happy, or something like that, you know, that's a little bit more transient in terms of your energy. So that's typically seen through your clairvoyance, which is a type of psychic sense that's visual. That's your internal eye, right? So it's being able to see non-physical with our physical eyes. The thing with the psychic senses, and we talk about this in the class, is they blend. They're multidimensional. They're overlapping, right? And if you've ever studied dimensions, it's not like there's one, there's two, there's three. It's not like they're layered. They overlap. They work inside of each other and with each other, right? It's just like where I am right now is in a three-dimensional, fourth dimension if you include time, because I'm moving, and anytime there's a sense of movement, there is a sense of time. Like a minute ago, my hand was here and then it's here. So I'm embodying 4 dimensions at once, but you can't split them out, right? It's not like I'm in 1 dimension, then 2. You don't split them out. I embody all of them. Your psychic senses are the same way, okay? So your clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, all of these, claircognizance, there's all of your psychic senses, they are multidimensional. They overlap. They live and breathe within each other. Okay, they're not always separated out like our traditional senses are. Like we have hearing, we have seeing, we have tasting. These feel very segmented and broken up into different aspects. We wouldn't consider seeing with our tongue, right? That's a taste. That's taste. It's completely separate than sight. And yet with our multidimensional senses, seeing can also incorporate a sense of feeling, a sense of knowing someone's aura. Okay, so they blend together just like dimensions, right? So there's a sense of when you're around someone, a lot of people experience auras like this. They think, oh, I can't see auras. I don't see colors. And yet there's a sense that they're around certain people and they think that's a shiny person, or that person's just, they're so bright. Their energy is so bright, or their energy is so loving and pink and soft, or like, woof, that's a fire energy. That person, there's a sense of claircognizance, which is an awareness, a sense of knowing an aura of someone. Not necessarily that you're using your visual, but you can integrate them or learn to work to where you actually are feeling colors more than you are just seeing them. There's an awareness of the color and the energy. And again, there's ways to kind of hone this and develop this even more. There's some activities, like a simple activity is kind of like learning to relax your eyes to where they fall back into the eye cavity. Just like as if you would stare at wallpaper for a long time and you almost like let your eyes fade back, or even like a Christmas tree now that we're in the Christmas season, right? How do you check to see that you have lights all the way around the tree? You move back, you fade out your vision a little bit to where everything kind of gets blurred. And then you can see, where there's a missing light on the Christmas tree, so to speak, because there'll be like darker spaces versus lighter spaces. So when you're working with auric fields, a similar type of activity can be done to where you're looking at someone, but instead of focusing hard on, the aspects of their face or their body or their shape, you pan out a little bit with your vision and let this blur. And essentially you're looking at this like 3 feet around the body. There's auric levels, and when you can be really precise with it if you want, almost look like at very specific layers in the spectrum of the auric body. But just for beginners, for practice, you can essentially just kind of fade out your visual here and let your vision almost take in a more peripheral, blurred aspect of the body, and let your eyes kind of focus but not focus, okay, on the peripheral about 3 feet out from the body, and you just scan. It's easiest to start with the crown and just like let yourself scan kind of visually, peripherally, while keeping your eyes really relaxed and soft to where everything looks blurred and you just see almost like a haze of color. Most people can do this activity and they start out and they just see almost like if you do it with me right now, you might see some gold up here. You might see some red over here. I'm saying what I see. But essentially, you kind of scan certain areas, and you may see kind of like a peripheral halo to begin with. That's typically what people see first. And then you can start to kind of scan certain areas of the body. Okay? And again, staying peripheral, staying blurred in your vision. Your eyes need to stay very relaxed if you're using them for that. And also, it's important to note that the colors that you see, there is a way in terms of frequency to determine this, color is like blue is 4.2 megahertz. They have like I just made that number up, but there are ways to like look at the frequency and of that color on the color spectrum. And yet also there's an intuitive energy of interpreting auras, which just me as an intuitive healer, I kind of go there first. Meaning not everyone has to see the same color, okay? it's kind of like when spirit speaks to you, they may speak in symbols, they may speak very directly and just say, hey, I'm here, or they may give you a big star. They speak in different ways to different people, so auras may appear in different ways to different people. There are colors on the spectrum, and that's kind of what the electromagnetic, like, aura photography type of thing reads. But in general, in the heat, waves of the body and things like this that's being pumped from the heart. But there are also just intuitively a sense of awareness of color and what that color means to you. Meaning pink always feels very soft and loving, and almost a feminine, celestial energy to me, a feminine angelic energy to me. It can be something like a pregnant woman often has a pink kind of aura to me. Same with like green. I always see green associated with healers, and this is for me kind of seeing that color and then feeling into what do I feel like that color means to me. So that's just an activity you can do of kind of like setting your visual eyes into relaxation mode, moving more into peripheral of this area, tuning into it, and then feeling into what those colors are identified for you as, what they mean to you, what they feel like to you intuitively. Yeah. Awesome. That was kind of a fun one. Okay, love you guys. Blessings.